best entertainment on the earth. Tune in for Comics with Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and where do the X-Men go from here? So, I'm always interested when comics seem to write themselves into a pure dead end. And there has to be a retcon, there has to be a major kind of reshuffling, go back in time, forget everything that happened kind of moment that needs to occur in order for the comic to go back into the box and let things happen. When Jonathan Hickman was introduced to be part of the X-Men office, and he was talking about going back and reading all the X-Men books and what he wanted to do, he made this comment that really caught my attention because it was truthful and I liked the sound of it, which was basically, hey, when you come on to a franchise you don't own, i.e., something that Marvel and DC own, then it's playing with someone else's toys, and your goal, what you need to be doing, what your responsibility is to basically put the toys back in the toy box when you're done with them, not break anything where you're leaving a huge mess for somebody else to come and figure out. And when he said that, there was a kind of an inference that this had happened a few times in X-Men history, that there had been moments where, things had been broken to a point of no return. Some speculated he was putting shade on Grant Morrison, who basically ended his run on X-Men with killing Jean Grey, putting Emma Frost and Scott together, having this Magneto tear apart all of New York and destroy everything, and then get killed himself. And this kind of future story, this 4 issues that was drawn by the great Mark Silvestri, where you had the Beast had turned crazy. I think Sublime had infected him, and there's just a bunch of other things like that. So I don't know that he was talking about Grant Morrison. I always thought, in the grand scheme of things, Grant Morrison's story would be easy to unpack and unwind, and sure enough, it was. They brought Magneto back to life kind of instantly. And so there's been different moments there. But Hickman also stated, he wanted a bold, exciting, completely new status quo for the mutants. And it was really, when you started reading it, the intent was that the mutants, rather than being, hunted and feared and kind of scrambling for their lives, would level up to the point that they were in control. They had medicines, they had a global empire, they had a territory, a nation of their own, they had the ability to teleport anywhere. They basically went from being kind of hiding out in the sewers or hiding out in the outback in Australia to firmly in command of everything. And it was funny, by the way, hanging out with Chris Claremont and trying to explain to him. It was clear during this con I was at with him a little less than a year ago that he had not been reading the current X-Men titles, and the look of bewilderment on his face as myself and a couple others tried to explain what was going on was charming and tragic, kind of at the same time. Anyway, Jonathan Hickman made these comments and then proceeded to do kind of these stories, and at this point right now with the X-Men, everybody's going out and having a beach party. The mutants can't die. The mutant supremacy has they've taken over Mars. They've introduced all these other things. The X-Men, to me anyway, has passed the point of no return of being able to easily put the toys back in the toy box. I don't know. To me, it's become a dead end street, or a one-way street at least, where you're going to have to reboot the Marvel Universe to really get these characters to play well with each other. Or rather, it's going to take a very, very skilled writer, because they don't just have to kind of unwind what's happened with the mutants. They have to unwind all kinds of things. They have to unwind the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and how the rest of the Marvel Universe has reacted to them, and kind of this entire global new economy. And I mean, they can certainly do it where the X-Men lose their ability to resurrect things. Some people are going to have to die and stay dead. Memories are going to have to be erased. I mean, there's just a lot that's going to have to occur in order for it to go back. And the mutants will, I guess, in theory, get back to a hunted and feared kind of vibe, because the fact that they were able to do this once means even characters like the Avengers and others are going to have a massive problem with them running around in the future. So what do you make of this? Where do you go from here? I think that the Marvel Universe, and I maintained for a long time, that it shouldn't need to reboot. It shouldn't need to restart. You shouldn't need to do this massive, dump everything and start over again with the comic line. But it feels like in many cases it's going to have to be there. I mean, the Fantastic Four, they haven't passed this point of no return. Right now, Johnny Storm can't flame off. Basically, is constantly flaming. Make your joke here, but that's just a bombardment of rays, or Reed Richards figures something out, or he tries to self-sacrifice to save the Fantastic Four. It drains 90% of his powers, but then he's back to where he was. Very easy to put that one back in the box. The Avengers is certainly weird. They're hanging out in a corpse of a Celestial in the Arctic, and you've got Starbrand on the team, and Blade, and a Phoenix, and that's certainly weird and tough. But there again, that these characters, nothing has been really done to these characters that completely wrecks them, that makes it impossible to come back and start over again. They can easily set up shop in New York, have a new mission, no problem. New writer can come on and do it. You can kind of go down the line with most of the heroes in the Marvel Universe. Not that you have to put everything back in the box, not that you have to take everything back to the way it was, but if you needed to, you could. The X-Men, on the other hand, I don't see how that returns. Again, it would have to take they've been clever with the writing, and to Hickman's credit, he has set up a scenario that's certainly more complex, more dangerous than what we've seen before. But the consequence of that is it's going to be very hard to unwind at this point. It's going to be very hard to return things to where they were. I think that it's I don't know. I don't know how he does it. I'm not sure that that's easily possible with where he's gone. And I'm torn. On one hand, I like comic writers going for it. I like them, putting things out there and just really delivering a powerful big story. And I think the indies often can do this. The one shots, the things that the creators own, they can do this. They can tell really bold, really dynamic storytelling. I mean, Kirkman did that with Invincible extremely well. There was major status quo shifts, and it was exciting to read. Same thing with Walking Dead. Same thing with lots of series out there. But for the big two, they kind of need to go back in the box at some point. So the awkwardness comes from in the future, they are going to make X-Men movies in the MCU. They are definitely going to do it. We're going to have Wolverine. We're going to have the X-Men. We're going to have these characters appear there because they're valuable IP, and Disney's going to want to make money off that investment. They can't run the same storyline they've got in the comics. That won't work. It won't work in one way because they're brand new characters to the to the normies out there. They may have seen a couple X-Men films, but they don't know enough about it to really make this Hickman's plot work. But also, his plot doesn't work as movies. It works as comics, and it can be pretty good, but all the same, it's very far from where the movies are. And at the end of the day, Marvel's not going to want to live with it. So you do get to where does this go from here? Does Moira, well, she's lost her powers now, but do we reset the universe? Do we set it back? Do we do a light reboot of everything? It feels like Marvel is increasingly writing themselves into a strange corner where, if they want the universe to continue for another 20 or 30 years, they're going to have to make some massive changes. They're going to have to make some massive changes that Secret Wars teed up back in 2015, where it seemed like it was being aligned to kind of clean up and straighten out the Marvel Universe to allow some kind of fresh, dumping the baggage of what had gone on. But of course, they promptly forgot that Hickman had done that, and now Hickman has given them a gift of return of writing an X-Men book that is, again, going to be very difficult to parse, very difficult to unwind from. I'm sure you can do it. Of course, you can do anything, but a lot of doing it in this case is going to wind with, hey, forget this ever happened. That's not always the best place you want to be. Anyway, I'm curious what your ideas are. How does Marvel come back from this? Is the X-Men a one-way street? Is it a dead end? Like, how do you how do you take the next step once this era is over? And what do you do? And how easily have they done it? And has Marvel kind of screwed themselves? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.